And welcome in everyone to this week's episode of Crazy's Corner. We are post-draft now. We're going to be talking about quarterbacks, running backs on this show. We've got another show, wide receivers and tight ends. We're talking about their landing spots. Do we like them? Do we not like them? Where are we thinking on these guys for rookie drafts, dynasty rankings? We're going to be talking all about these important players. We have Jeff and Will from Media Today joining us. Welcome in, guys.
Thank you.
We will be talking about Will's team in a little bit here. They got themselves a quarterback. My team, Jeff's team, not quite there. But we're going to start us off at the top of the draft. The 101, Caleb Williams goes to the Bears. We kind of all knew this was coming. We did talk a little bit about these guys and their as a prospect in previous episodes. I don't have too much to say for Caleb Williams. They did end up getting Rome Odunze, so that is great for his dynasty value. I don't think Rome's going to get too much involved this season. Just with Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet already there ahead of him in the target tiers. But I think Caleb's in a great situation for him. I think he'll be successful. Super flex. He's got to be a top 2 pick. You guys have anything you want to reiterate about Caleb Williams? Any concerns or?
He's set up for success. That is it. And I'm actually liking the bond that he's forming with Odunze early. They're already working out and everything else, man. So I just saw an interview with DJ Moore today, and he was talking about the way, just the timing, how he gets the ball out. I don't know if it was a dig at Justin Fields or what, but I was like, anytime somebody says something positive like that, it lets me know that, he likes what he's seeing in that QB. So I'm a little bit excited for Williams, see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. Will, are you excited as well?
I think it's going to be fun. I think it's the first time in a long time Chicago's actually going to be fun to watch. And I do think it pushes them to get a new stadium faster, though. He'll be okay. He's going to be good by far. Probably a future Hall of Famer, to be honest with you. I just don't know how long the weather and they got to get a dome. If you're going to put all that money into him 4 or 5 years from now, when that's time to pay him, you got to build an environment where he can play. And the problem with Soldier Field, and this has always been the problem with Soldier Field, and it hurts fantasy values, right? It's just late in the season, you're thinking, oh, crap, bad weather, and I need these guys to score 20, 30 points, and can they do that? I was more excited about them getting the punter from a fantasy prospect than – because you knew you were getting Williams, knew you were getting a wide receiver, but the punter was a very cold, strategic move in that 4th-round pick. And as a Viking fan, it killed me to say that, but I thought the Bears management team has their act together right now. This is a Super Bowl contender, and I think Williams is clearly probably going to be Rookie of the Year.
Let's see. The Bears always find a way to screw things up, so let's not get here. They are still the Bears, but we'll move on.
The Bears.
The number 2 overall pick, who probably has the highest upside fantasy football-wise, and that's Jayden Daniels. I think he's, some people like him over Caleb Williams dynasty-wise just due to his upside. Personally, I think Jayden Daniels will have, Justin Fields' archetype career. He's going to have a couple of really good seasons for fantasy, and then his team will move on and get themselves a better quarterback. He has weapons in Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, so they have that. But to me, I don't see any long-term prospects for Jayden Daniels. I don't believe he's going to be the answer. I don't believe Dan Quinn is going to come out and prove himself to be an amazing head coach. We already saw him try in Atlanta when he had a quarterback in Matt Ryan, and it failed. So for me, in Superflex, I think Jayden Daniels is just going to be going a little bit too high. I don't think I'll be grabbing him up anywhere. Will, what do you think? You have picks, 4, 5, and 6 in our Dynasty League. Jayden Daniels, is he going to be?
If he's there at 4, he's mine.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah, if he can learn from Anthony Richardson last year, just don't stop. Just learn to go down, learn to take the bad play, or the loss of yardage play, and try to create. It'll be interesting to me to see how him and Williams, this draft class, develop in time. And there's that pressure. I think there's pressure on Daniels to be Williams. Not sure he is, but Washington is to me, they're a very unforgiving fan base, and so the expectations. But I think he has talent. I think he could be a very good fantasy quarterback for a long time if he just doesn't get hurt and he learns to play in an NFL game. But he has talent. I don't think anyone can contest his arm strength, his arm talent.
Yeah, he's got the talent. Injuries will be a concern. He's only 210 pounds.
Yeah.
If you're going to be a running quarterback, not ideal unless you're Lamar Jackson. You're super smart. You never take big hits. But we don't see that too often. Jeff, what do you think about Jayden Daniels? You have the number 1 overall pick in our Dynasty League. Are you taking Jayden Daniels?
He is.
Maybe. The only thing, he's got some weapons.
He does.
I'm a little bit worried about his protection. That's honestly the only thing. So when you're looking at if Anthony Richardson can get hurt at his size, then I'm really looking at this and he's in a pretty tough division. NFC East. The Eagles have retooled their defense. Giants defense looks like it's still going to be pretty formidable. You don't never know what you're going to get with Dallas. So, he's not going to have a cakewalk back there learning as a rookie. That's another thing. I'm a little bit higher on Williams as far as the protection and the fact that he's in the NFC North. Defenses are okay, but they're not as stout, I would say, as what they're going to face, what he's going to face in the NFC East. So,
yeah, I think that's fair. Next guy we're going to talk about, he doesn't have weapons, he doesn't have protection.
Leave Drake alone.
Drake Maye.
Leave Drake alone.
He's got the physical talents. He's got the physical ability to be, an NFL star quarterback. He's just not really in a great spot. I would have him as my probably 4th quarterback dynasty startup rankings for rookies. That is, if we're in a rookie draft, I think he would be behind Jayden Daniels, Caleb Williams, and another guy we're going to talk about in a bit, who I just think is a little bit safer, has some better weapons around him. So I think Drake Maye, he's got – I don't want to touch the Patriots. Bill Belichick's not there anymore. I don't have faith in this new coaching staff. I don't have faith in the weapons around him. I don't want a piece of this New England Patriots offense. So I was out on Jayden Daniels where he's going super high in super flex drafts, and I'm probably going to be out on Drake Maye as well. Unless I really need a quarterback, I think I'm probably passing on those two. Will, again, you need quarterbacks. You have 4, 5, and 6. Are you in on Drake Maye? Will's in on Drake Maye.
I actually kind of am in on Drake Maye. I think he's going to be undervalued in Dynasty Fantasy because people are going to crap all over the Patriots, and there's some reason deserved for the people to feel that way. But I also think that the Kraft family and they're not bad owners. The question is will the coaching staff feel the pressure to rush him on the field? Mm-hmm. If they don't do that, they give him a little bit of time and they let themselves build some talent around him. It's not like he's in a bad franchise. It's not like he went to Washington. So I just say, new owners there. Let's give him a break. But
shots fired.
It's look. There's some teams. There's some franchises. You're just kind of like, oh God, like the ownership is a disaster, and you just don't know. It's not like New England is that. So I know there's a lot of transition and all that, and so I'm not as down on Maye as a lot of people are. I think it just depends on how much pressure that coaching staff feels to play him.
Yeah, they have Brissett, so he could sit a little bit. Yeah. Jeff, what do you think? about Drake Maye.
I actually like some of the pieces that they put around him.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth, I like the Jalen Polk pickup. I like the kid Javon Baker that they
I would
got.
say I like Baker more than I like Polk.
Well, that's what. Yeah, they got a couple of guys. I even like Jaheim Bell, the tight end that they brought.
Tight end.
You know, so I'm like, they had a pretty decent draft to put some things around him at least. You know, and Jeff, he's still got some running backs there as well. So,
and Jeff, to your point, I think when he was drafted, I felt like, oh man, this poor kid. But I thought they did do a good job, and actually, I think Bell is a very important draft piece for them. For his development, because he is the size, he is going to be that safety net for him. So I was kind of I changed as the draft went on when I started seeing the pieces they were trying to put around him. Okay,
maybe I was a little harsh saying he has no weapons. He has no proven weapons.
He has no proven
exactly. There you go.
It could turn out to be okay. This next guy, the biggest surprise of the draft day. I don't want to talk about this, the absolute terrible pick that the Falcons made by taking Michael Penix at number 8. But the question I do want us to answer is how early in a rookie superflex draft do we think Michael Penix should go now that he's probably not going to see the field in the next
superflex?
Yeah. You're essentially drafting a backup quarterback for 2 to 3 years.
If you're
mid-second?
I'll be honest with you. If I was league champion and I had my quarterback set for the next couple of years, I'm taking him at 12.
At 12, the 12th pick in the first round?
Yeah.
If I had Kirk Cousins, maybe.
Yeah. I would do Kirk and I was handcuffing him, maybe I could see end of first, beginning of second. But for me, I think with the fact that he's already so old, he's going to be almost 30 if everything goes right by the time he gets to play his first snap in the NFL, or maybe not his first snap, but start his first game in the NFL. And I think that chance is low. I'd probably be mid-second round team.
I'm convinced that Cousins is a one-year starter with Atlanta.
They give him too much money to be a one-year starter.
They can move him next year, especially post June 1. If a team loses a quarterback next year, and look, as soon as Cousins sniffs out that he's going to get benched, he'll waive that no trade clause so quick. He'll be with the Rams or something. It'll be something crazy.
I'm actually have another mindset. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I actually think that Kurt is not all the way 100% ready for the season for them to make that pick. I think this was purely an insurance backup pick for them. To do something like this to where you just paid this man $100 million, now you're drafting his successor, another guy that actually has some injury history. It's just so baffling to where maybe they were that sold on his talent that they were like, we might have to run this guy out on the field this year because Kurt may not be, all the way ready or all the way back. We got to do something to keep the fan base happy.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting if the Falcons aren't winning some games. Like, they can't bench Kirk, but also the fans are going to be calling for them to bench Kirk.
This has disaster written all over it. The locker room is going to split. It's going to be a disaster.
My Panthers did not originally have a first-round pick in this draft. I was, just watching the draft just for the sake of watching the draft. And when I saw that notification come over my phone, that was better than any pick the Carolina Panthers could have given. Made me so happy. But we got 2 more quarterbacks we're going to talk about here before we move on to the running backs. This next one is the guy I would have as my QB3 for rookie quarterbacks in Dynasty, and that's J.J. McCarthy. I think he's safe. I think he's in a good system with good weapons. I think, I don't see him being a guy that's going to finish, top 5 fantasy football finish. I don't think, I think he's going to be a good NFL starter in Superflex leagues that has, I don't know, Kirk Cousins.
That can run.
Kirk Cousins maybe he's 10 to 12 quarterback finish. In Superflex, that's very valuable to have on your team.
Yeah.
So I would have him as my QB3. He'd probably be out of these quarterbacks the guy that I would be, because I would have Marvin Harrison Jr. as my 101. So I'm probably not getting Caleb Williams. I wouldn't be taking Jayden Daniels or Drake Maye super high. So JJ McCarthy would probably be the first quarterback I'd be back in on mid-first round. So he's a guy, like I said, safe. He's got, Kevin O'Connell is going to put him in a position where we're going to find out first year, can JJ McCarthy be in a pass-first offense?
Right.
Can JJ McCarthy throw the ball 40 times a game and be successful? The Vikings let Nick Mullins throw the ball 40 times a game. Mm-hmm. So we're going to see what JJ McCarthy can do now that he's out of Michigan. I think he'll be good. I think, with JJ outside, it's really hard to be bad. And he's in a good system. They still have a running game, so it's not like it's going to be solely on his shoulders. Aaron Jones will still be okay, Tyson Chandler. So it's not like it's just going to be JJ McCarthy. But I think we're going to see him throw the ball a lot more. And like Will said, if he can be Kirk Cousins year in, year out, give me a top 12 quarterback finish or fringe top 12 quarterback finish, super flex, I think he's going to be a guy you're going to want to have on your roster. Will, you're our Vikings fan. Are you excited with the addition of JJ McCarthy?
I think he's a good kid. I watched some, like you watch the visits to the facility after the draft, and he's a very likable kid. He's going to do very well in Minnesota, especially if he's halfway competent. I'll be honest with you. I don't really think he plays this year. I think the Vikings are playing for 25. They are not playing for 24.
I think you underestimate how bad Sam Darnold is. Vikings fans are going to allow Sam Darnold to start.
I'm going to tell you right now, if he starts, it's week 10 or 11. It's way back. It's the last 5 weeks. So I think people need to be aware of that. I also want to caution people. This is we're viewing him in the eyes of the Vikings having the current makeup of their offensive roster. If a franchise can trade different ownership, but if a franchise can trade Randy Moss and then trade back for him and then cut him, there's something's not right there. Mm-hmm. And so if you take Justin Jefferson off the Vikings and it's Addison and Powell and Hawkinson when he's healthy, Hawkinson's not going to be back till 3, 4, 5, something like that. Yeah. There's I think there's a future for him, but I share that with you. I'm just not sold that if you're in a fantasy super flex draft, that this is a guy you can count on for points this year. So if you're drafting him, you're really counting on year 2, 3, 4, 5, and beyond. You shouldn't be. If you draft him, don't fool yourself and think you're getting a QB1. I don't think you're getting.
Yeah, not in his rookie year. I think, like I said, for me, when I'm looking at these guys, I don't know. That's why I don't like Jayden Daniels. I don't see the future prospects for Jayden Daniels or Drake Maye. I do see a situation where JJ McCarthy is going to be Kirk Cousins playing into his 35s, putting up quarterback 12 finishes. Yeah. To me, that I value that very highly in a super flex league. If you can get a guy who can just, you don't need a quarterback that's going to put up 50 points, but if I can get 25, 30 points a week, that's amazing. That's crucial, especially in super flex leagues, 12 teams where you're starting 24 or 32 starting quarterbacks. That's very valuable. Jeff, anything you want to say about JJ McCarthy before we move on to your second favorite team here?
No, I think he's just going to be. I think he's going to be a solid guy, But like Will was saying, I don't think he starts, this year. I think they are going to go ahead and see what they have in Sam Darnold and put him in later on. I guess Kevin O'Connell's like, hey, I see what I got in him. I see what he can do. So maybe he'll be a little bit different than he was. Maybe you'll get the guy that was with the Niners for a little bit rather than the guy that was with the Panthers. And for the first start of the season with the Panthers, he wasn't bad.
Yeah.
So, as long as you don't get the guy that was with the Jets where he was seeing ghosts. So.
You definitely don't want that version of Sam Darnold. We got one more quarterback to talk about, and that's Bo Nix with Denver Broncos, 12th overall pick. I honestly don't know what to do with Bo Nix. I like the fact that they drafted Troy Franklin to pair with him, get that Oregon connection. I think he was drafted too high. We're going to find out if Sean Payton is really an all-time coach.
Yep.
This was his call. This is his quarterback. He's a guy, not physically. He's not like Jayden Daniels. He's not going to go run all around. He's accurate. That's what Sean Payton had in Drew Brees, was an accurate, smart quarterback. We're going to see if he can get another one in Bo Nix. I would probably say Bo Nix, super flex leagues, probably worth the late first-round pick. But I feel like he's probably, again, going to get pushed up draft boards, and I'll probably be out on Bo Nix. Will, what do you think about Bo Nix?
I actually kind of like Bo Nix. I don't think Sean Payton's the right coach for him at this point in Sean Payton's career. I would not be surprised if Sean Payton's not in Denver as long as we think. I just don't know what this guy is.
Be out this year.
I could see him. I could see him getting fired this year.
Mm-hmm.
I just think look, dude, you got lucky with Drew Brees. That he signed with you guys in free agency, and you had a great quarterback with a great personality that had really good high QB IQ. Come on. Like, at some point, sometimes we got to start admitting some coaches are just right place at the right time. They get gifted a great athlete.
Mm-hmm. Jeff, what do you think about Bo Nix here?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a fool's gold component with him, because the Bo Nix in the SEC against tough defenses, horrible. The Bo Nix in the Pac-12 with defenses that weren't that tough, all right. So what are you going to do now against pro defenses? So especially in the division that you're in.
Yeah.
So that's you're looking at seeing the Chiefs twice, the Raiders twice, the Chargers with the Harbaugh defense. That's a tough hill to climb right there. So like you were saying, we will really see how good
does he play this year?
What's his name is.
He's got to play this year.
Yeah, he's got to play this
year.
He's got to play this year.
Oh, boy, man.
The only reason because of what he did with Russell Wilson. Yeah. So now if this guy doesn't come up to be even half of what Russell Wilson did, which shouldn't be that difficult to do,
yeah,
he's in trouble.
Yeah.
The coach, Sean Payton is in trouble because he's cost the franchise a lot of money. He's cost the franchise. He set them back even further. Mm-hmm. So they both have to do well. There's a lot on Bo Nix's shoulders because of what Sean Payton has put on top of him. And now you got guys that he's still got to go in there and win over the locker room. What's his name? The wide receiver. Sutton is not a happy guy right now.
No.
He's not happy at all. So, he's going to have to rely on Troy Franklin and then a bunch of other guys that have knees halfway hanging off, and Tim Patrick and all of those guys. So,
can we agree that this was a win for the tight end position in Denver?
Yeah. Whoever that is going to be.
Dulcich will be back. He'll do well.
If it's Zach's guy that was with the Patriots that made me pick him up, I don't remember his name right now. The guy every year, he might do something. He's on my bench right now. I'm just holding on.
Yeah, let's move on here to the running back position. We got a few running backs to talk about. First of all, Carolina Panthers new running back.
I knew this is coming.
Traded up for him. Jonathan Brooks was my favorite of the running backs going into the draft. And now he's on my favorite team. So I love Jonathan Brooks. I think to me, he's going to be probably going in super flex leagues mid-first round. And I'd be okay paying up for that. Miles Sanders, we tried that.
Call me.
Did not work.
No. Call me for 1.6. Call me.
Might have to try and trade back up to 1.6 and get me some Jonathan Brooks. I might be interested in that. I think Jonathan Brooks isn't really a beginning of this year play. He's coming back off the ACL injury. He'll take some time to work in. I think he's really looking in the future. With Dave Canales, I think he'll be a 3-down back. Chuba was good, but he won't be under contract next year. Miles Sanders is the back under contract for next year, and he won't be on the team. So I like Jonathan Brooks. I think he went to a great situation. The team seems really happy to have him, and he said that was his best visit, so he seems to be happy to be in Carolina. I like the offensive scheme fit. So I'm in on Dylan Brooks. With the 106, I might be in at Dylan Brooks. You'll have to tune in and see. But yeah, I mean, what do you guys think about Jonathan Brooks? Do you guys think he profiles to be an RB1? Maybe not this year, but next year?
I think so, especially where he is. I mean, I don't think there could be a better situation for him to go to unless he would have gone to like Dallas or something like that. I think this was a perfect spot. You guys are definitely in need of a running back.
I think these running backs, there's not going to be too many that make a huge impact this year.
Yeah.
So even with this running back class, Jonathan Brooks not being really fully healthy till week 5 or 6, he could still finish as the highest rookie running back fantasy finish wise.
Woohoo!
Yeah, that's what we want. At the 106.
I like him. I just hope they don't rush. Like, please let his knee heal. Please.
Right.
Please actually give him 8 weeks. Please don't ruin him.
Just let him be healthy. We got a couple. We got a couple more running backs here. Just to want to quickly talk about. Trey Benson went to Arizona. He'll be behind James Conner this year.
Not for long.
Not for long, exactly.
No.
I think he'll be behind James Conner, in my opinion, until James Conner gets hurt.
That's it. Exactly.
And once that happens around mid-season, I think then when Conner comes back from his injuries, because he's never out for too long, they'll be splitting this year. James Conner will be gone next year. So I think Trey Benson, if you're drafting him, end of first, beginning of second, I think you're playing for next year more than this year. But he could be a plug-and-play guy. If injuries happen, which they probably will. So you guys think Trey Benson can take over from James Conner this year, even if James Conner doesn't get hurt?
Yes,
I think
so. by week 4.
Oh wow! Okay,
I think so. Conner is getting a little bit longer in the tooth, I love him because he's a warrior. But I think Benson has a lot more burst. And I think that's what they're going to see early. So
I would handcuff him though.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm handcuffing that because I'm just afraid that Conner will get some touchdowns he probably shouldn't get.
Yeah, Conner will get the goal line work for sure.
Yes.
If this offense profiles out to be better like it should, that'll be a valuable role. Blake Corum went to the Rams. I don't love that for Blake Corum's fantasy value, but I also really hate this for Kyren Williams' fantasy value. Yep. Blake Corum will come in and score all the touchdowns. I think he'll be their goal line back. So with this move, I'm not targeting Blake Corum anywhere. I mean, if I have Kyren Williams, maybe I take him injury handcuff again in a dynasty league. But to me, Blake Corum just sucks.
Wrong LA team. That's what it is.
Yeah, really, the wrong LA team.
Yep.
Him and Jim Harbaugh can hang out on the weekends, but they're
right, exactly.
Any thoughts on Marshawn Lloyd to the Packers if Josh Jacobs doesn't?
I love that. I long-term fantasy, I love that pick.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Yeah, because Jacobs might not be with the Packers next year, even though he just signed a 4-year deal. So then it could be Marshawn Lloyd going forward for the Packers. They like their young guys. Josh Jacobs is currently their oldest skill position player at 26 years old.
Lloyd is. It kills me to say it. I like, oh crap, when they drafted him. Mm-hmm. He is going with love and the way they move, especially passing downs. Oh God, what a nightmare that's going to be on linebackers. It's just
I honestly think that really fully removes AJ Dillon out of the situation.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
AJ Dillon might get cut.
Yeah.
Or traded. Like,
they're not paying him much money. They brought him back on the 1-year deal this offseason, so he'll probably just be around. He's still the biggest of their backs, so maybe he gets in a couple touchdowns around the goal line. But yeah, I think this is good for Marshawn Lloyd next year, and that kind of seems to be the situation with these running backs. And betting on running backs to be good next year is not always the best bet to make because drafts, free agency always come and screw that up. Jalen Wright went to Miami. I think that kind of sucks for.
Yeah, It was like last year's draft when Seattle. It's
Yeah.
like, what are all these teams doing? Like, I get it. And I love Jalen Wright. That's actually my favorite running back in the whole draft this year. And now
I think Wright hurts Mostert's value more than he hurts Achan's value. Because Achan is just so explosive.
Right.
I think he's still going to get his touches. I think Wright and Mostert just now start to split more of that work. He's fast.
So you still got 3 guys touching the ball.
Right.
Yeah, so I think Mostert will get most of the goal line work. And I think Wright will start to take away some of what Mostert had between the 20s. And I still think Achan will get in at the goal line. He'll get in around everywhere. And I think he'll be if I had to own one of these Miami backs, for sure, by far, it's Achan for me still.
Yeah.
I'm not super worried about this really cutting into his fantasy value.
Well, that's the only thing that I look at Jalen Wright, and I'm like, this is the only guy out of those 3 who is probably the healthiest. So that's what I was looking at. You know, Mostert, he could be by second game, he could be out. Mm-hmm. You know, Achan, you don't know with him either. We do know he's explosive, but we also know Wright is somewhat explosive as well. So I'm actually looking at it as he will definitely take over Mostert's position at some point in time. Might probably move into the 1 through 3rd down back, and then Achan comes in and cleans up everything.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. A couple more running backs in the 4th round there. Bucky Irvin went to Tampa. Not much to say there. I mean, he'll take some work away from White, so I guess a little knock on White's value. Shipley went to Philadelphia, not taken away from Barkley. Ray Davis went to Buffalo. He'll probably be the goal line back.
Yeah.
So maybe he's a plug-and-play guy depending on the matchup. Braylon Allen to the Jets. He's not touching Breece Hall. Isaac Guerrero went to the 49ers, and he's not touching Christian McCaffrey's value. So I think really that's where you're just kind of throwing darts at the wall, hoping, the front top guy gets injured. But that's the quarterbacks and running backs. We got another show. Go check it out. Tight ends and wide receivers. So we'll talk about a couple more tight ends that we did. We pre-draft, we only talked about 1 tight end. Now we'll maybe talk about a few tight ends and maybe have some opportunities to get some touches. And we'll talk about the wide receivers as well. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks, Will and Jeff, for media. All new things coming out on media. You guys just wait and see. It's going to be great going into this season, and not wait to share it with you guys. Make sure you go watch that other video. And we'll be recording our rookie draft for our Dynasty League. We'll be on here talking about the picks. You'll see me and Will try and go back and forth so I can try and get me some Jonathan Brooks. We'll see what Will does. Will's got picks 104, 105, 106.
Number 1, we got 4, 5, 6.
I don't have a pick until the 3rd round. It'll be a fun night. I'll just be here commentating. I'll be telling you how many people make stupid picks. It'll be you definitely want to make sure you see.
I'm going to turn my draft over to Zach.
Yeah, exactly.
We're
going to let me do the picks for Will. I'll tell you what Will should pick, and then Will will do probably the opposite because apparently he likes Jayden Daniels and Drake May. So
I do.
Michael Penix, 1st overall, baby.
I hope so. Please do it. All right. Have a good night.